Alright guys, welcome back to the second part of my video about my personal experience with anxiety. The first video was talking about kind of my symptoms, how I got diagnosed, and this video is going to be about my treatment and how I finally stopped having anxiety and panic attacks. So if you missed that video, if you're interested, obviously the link is down below. And let's get right on into it. As I stated in my last video, I took citalopram when I first started having anxiety, and then I quit taking it. My anxiety went really bad. And so you're probably thinking, why didn't you just start taking citalopram again? As I talked about, my anxiety was really bad. I had constant fear of dying. And so I had this, I would not take medicine. I just wouldn't, because you know, all the side effects, and what if somebody cut the wrong pill, and you know, what if I had an allergic reaction, what if this, what if that, what if I wouldn't even take Tylenol, I could have the worst headache in the world and I'd just sit there and take it because I wasn't taking any medicine, period. And it bugged the shit out of everybody in my family, I'm sure. But I just wouldn't do it. I would not take medicine. And so that is why I didn't just go back to taking citalopram once my anxiety got really bad again, because basically it's almost like my anxiety went into overdrive, and I couldn't, it's like my anxiety was like, ugh, before I started taking citalopram. I got off it, and then it's like my anxiety just went off a cliff, and there was like no returning from that. So first thing I did, because it didn't involve any medicine, was I went to therapy. And the first therapist I went to, like, yeah, I got to sit and talk about all my problems, but she didn't do anything for me. So I quit going to her. And so I think, like a lot of people, that made me not want to go to therapy. And so I let myself go for a while without doing anything. But my anxiety was just getting so bad. I needed help. I needed help. I knew I needed help. And so I went back and I tried a different therapist, and I told her all the issues I was having, how often I was having panic attacks, things like that. And she said, you know, I know you might not want to do this because you're working full-time, which is rare for somebody having anxiety as bad as you do, but I think you need to go to a treatment program. And at the time, I was like, how the hell am I going to go to a treatment program? Bitch, I gotta pay bills. You know, like, and I also felt like in my head, like, oh, my anxiety's not that bad. You know, I don't need to go to treatment. When in all reality, my anxiety was that bad, and I did need to go to treatment. But in the midst of it, you know, I kept telling myself, well, you know, I can still function. I can still go to work. You know, I'm making it through the day. I don't need to go to treatment. So she gave me the information for treatment, and I went to her a couple more times, but you know, she really wanted to talk about stuff that I didn't want to talk about at the time. She wanted to go into stuff that didn't have anything to do with my anxiety, and so I quit going to her because she was pushing on subjects that I didn't want to talk about. And, you know, and maybe those things needed to be talked about, but not for my anxiety, so I quit going to her. And so the lesson of this story is don't stop just because you go to one bad psychiatrist or psychologist. Please don't. You know, it's such a personal thing. It's like mascara, you know? It's just what works for you doesn't work for everybody. So, you know what? You gotta try a couple different ones, and it sucks, but please don't stop just because you see one bad doctor. Please don't stop just because you see one bad psychiatrist or psychologist. Please keep going until you find the one that works for you. So, again, I just quit for a really long time, dealt with my anxiety myself, and then, you know, I reached another breaking point, and I tried a different doctor and or psychiatrist. I always forget psychiatrist versus psychologist, whatever. I went to the one that doesn't prescribe medicine, and she was much better. She did focus on my anxiety. She focused on ways to try to help my anxiety instead of just like, oh, let's talk about it. Like, you know, that's not going to fix my anxiety. Sorry. If you have less severe anxiety, that might help you. But for me, mine was full-blown off the deep end. It was way past let's talk about it. So, she actually talked, you know, like, maybe you need to try Tai Chi to help calm you down. I never did, but I still think it probably would have been good for me to try. She also, you know, because I had this huge fear that I was dying, so that I was suffocating and dying, so she put me on like a little finger monitor so that I could see, but those things are really unreliable. And so then if it didn't get a good read, it would tell me that like my oxygen levels were low or blah, blah, blah. And so it made my anxiety worse. I almost went to the hospital because I was having a panic attack. I used that, and then it just made my panic attack worse. So I quit using that. But you know, at least she was trying. You know what I mean? Like, you know, not everything's gonna work, but I did like her. And through me and her talking, she realized that somehow I had kind of the opposite thing that most have. Most people, they have anxiety when stressful things are happening, but that was almost always when I didn't have anxiety. For instance, at work, when I was busy, I did not have anxiety. I was, I'm too busy working to have anxiety, okay? Like, so I had anxiety before I went into work, after I went into work. Like when I told you guys when my anxiety started, it was when I was walking off campus, because when I'm on campus, I got stuff to do. I can't have anxiety. But once I allowed myself to like calm down, it's almost like my body was having an adverse reaction to not being under tension anymore and was falsely creating anxiety. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what she told me, and it kind of made sense because I only ever had panic attacks and anxiety when I wasn't in a stressful situation. So who knows, but knowing what causes it still didn't fix it. So as much as I liked her, we even had some time where, you know, my husband came, you know, at the time he wasn't my husband, but my husband came in and we had like she did like a couple session with us, because you need support when you're having anxiety. You know, one thing that we talked about was, for me, it sounds stupid, but getting a back rub actually helped calm me down. So if I was having a panic attack in the middle of the night, when I woke him up now, instead of, you know, it being an issue, he would try and calm me down. He'd talk with me, he'd give me a back rub, and he would help me calm down. So, you know, as much as I love to internalize my anxiety, she really forced me to try and bring my husband into the situation so that I wasn't dealing with it alone, which is probably a good thing. And after that, as much as, you know, I liked her, it wasn't fixing my anxiety. So eventually I had to go to treatment. I was so low functioning. You know, I was going to therapy, I was reading the books, I understood my anxiety. I knew it was happening. You know, I knew I wasn't dying. I knew the things I was feeling, what was causing them, but that wasn't stopping them. And, you know, I'm sorry to put this in here because I know some people aren't going to like it, but I wouldn't be being honest with you guys if I didn't tell you this part. One day, after, you know, blow after blow after blow of panic attack, I got down on my knees in my living room and I just said, God, please help me. You know, I can't do this anymore. And, you know, I just asked for help. And, obviously still an emotional moment in my life, but, and so I started reading my Bible, and that really helped when I was having panic attacks. I read my Bible, you know, lots of verses were really helpful, you know, about, you know, Jesus, you know, taking on our yoke and giving us his, because his burden's light, and things like that. It was all really helpful, and it also helped me a lot because I had this huge fear of dying. Well, you only have to be scared of dying if there's a reason to be, you know? That helped. It helped, but it didn't make my anxiety go away. It was huge for me, and now my anxiety's gone, but I still am very devout, so that's that. So eventually, you know, I felt led to finally go to treatment. And the treatment program I went to was at Baylor Hospital. It was outpatient, so I could still go to work. So what I would do is I'd go to work early, I would go to Baylor for 4 hours for my treatment and then go back to work and then go home, and then did that 5 days a week for so many months. 4 months, I think. 3 or 4 months. At the treatment program, it was a lot of group therapy, like 90% group therapy. And then 10% you were meeting with your psychiatrist or psychologist. Crap, I told you I can't remember. The one that does prescribe medicine. You were meeting with them. They were talking about your meds. I was still being stubborn at that time, and even though she prescribed me medicine, I wouldn't take it because you only saw the psychiatrist once a week. And I didn't want, if I had seen the psychiatrist every day, I think I would have been more likely to take my medicine, because I would have felt more secure that if there were any issues, I was going to see her the next day and I could talk to her about it. But you only saw the psychiatrist once a week, so I still wasn't taking my medicine. But, you know, you had your group therapy, all sorts of problems. You know, it wasn't just anxiety. There were people with, you know, bulimia, there were people with anger issues, there were people with depression, and there were people with anxiety. And so we all talked about our issues and learned about our issues, and there was lots of informational stuff that, you know, we were given, you know, ways to calm down, you know, things to think about, information about what was happening in your body, yada, yada, yada. So it was a very helpful program. It didn't cure my anxiety. You know, all of these things that I did up until this point helped. My anxiety helped me understand my anxiety, helped me calm down, but it didn't stop the panic attacks from happening in the first place. It helped me calm down, it helped me maybe not freak out as much, but it didn't stop them from happening. I had to take medicine, okay? And I know this is a sticking point for a lot of people with anxiety. It was not going to go away unless I took my medicine. No matter how much therapy, no matter how much I understood my situation, no matter how much mental power I have, I could not control my body. I could not control the chemical reactions that were happening in my brain. So I went to my doctor, and the only reason I did this was because somebody else I knew who had anxiety started taking their medicine, and it got better for them, and I saw it get better for them, and I saw that they didn't die because they took their medicine. And so I went to the doctor and I said, I want to take that medicine. And, you know, it was very, I take escitalopram and as a daily medicine, which is just the generic version of citalopram. And then I take Lexapro, which is a tranquilizer for emergency situations. Like if it's the middle of the night and I'm about to make somebody take me to the hospital, I would take that to calm myself down before I made any rash, crazy decisions. When I just couldn't control my anxiety, I would take Lexapro as needed, and then citalopram every day. And I don't have panic attacks anymore. I've maybe had, I can think of 2 times I've had panic attacks in the past 6 months to a year, and they happened, I felt them, but it did never get out of control. Like, I understood what was happening, it was a little bit scary, but, you know, it was over, done, moved on with my life. I don't have daily anxiety anymore, and I do not have the panic attacks anymore. And I take my medicine every day. I don't need to take the Lexapro, the as needed tranquilizer. I never use that. I keep it with me because it's like a little safety blanket, but I haven't used it in months and months and months and months and months. So for me, it was a cocktail of religion, therapy, and medicine. And it's different for everybody, but just get help. Don't internalize it. That's never going to fix it. Get help. If one option of help doesn't work, get another option. You know, you've just watched this video. Multiple tests. I did heart tests, lung tests, blood tests, you know, and then once I knew I had anxiety, I had multiple doctors, multiple psychiatrists, multiple treatment programs, multiple medicines I tried. Just because something doesn't work doesn't mean something else won't work. So keep trying. new things until you find what works, because something will work and the clouds will part and you will become a human being again, okay? You will start wanting to go out with your friends again. You will start having hobbies. You are going to start caring about your appearance. That's how I first knew my medicine was working, was I started wearing makeup. I started doing my hair again, and I hadn't done that for years. You're not gonna realize how deep of a hole you're in until you're out of it. And once you're out of it, the sky is bluer, the birds chirp more beautifully, you know, everything. You're gonna realize how far down you were, and you're not even gonna know how you function. Like, looking back on it, I can't believe that I went to work every day. And most other people couldn't either. Even in my treatment program, I was the only person there who was working 40 hours a week. Most other people were working part-time or they were on disability. And if I was close, I was on the edge of being on disability. Like, it was getting to the point where I couldn't even function at work. But, you know, luckily before that tipping point happened, I kept trying options, kept trying, because it was so bad for me that I finally found my option that worked. So, talk to somebody, talk to a doctor, talk to a psychiatrist, talk to your husband, talk to your parents. Don't suffer alone, and don't suffer for no reason. There is options. You can get help, and it can go away. So I hope this helps. Like I said in my last video, if you want to talk to me and you don't want to, if you want to comment, that's fine, we can talk there. But if you want to do it privately, if you don't want to put your business out in the YouTube world, I completely understand. You can private message me. I hope this helped you. If this helps one person who felt the way I felt, then this video was worth it. So hope it helps somebody. I hope, you know, maybe it educates anybody who's watching this who have people in their life who have anxiety. And I will see you guys in my next less heavy video, which will be much more beauty related, I promise.